My name is Manny Anekal. I run The Next Level, which I write about the business of esports every single day at tnl.media. I also run Versus Sports, which is an esports team, as well as strategy, and some more announcements coming up. But you don't want to hear about me. Let's get to our esteemed panelists. If you can please introduce yourself.
My name is Christina, Alejandre. I'm the general manager of E-League and vice president of esports at Turner Sports.
I'm Mike Tubman. I run sports and competition for Buffalo Wild Wings.
Awesome. So I prefer a general casual conversation, but let's get into some deeper topics inside. Christina, let's start off with you. E-League's now been around for almost a year and a half. You've made impressive strides with Counter-Strike, 2 seasons, an Overwatch tournament, as well as obviously your Counter-Strike major. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
1 million consecutive viewers on Twitch, which is amazing. What's been the most positive surprises you've had with your experience, as well as what's the most challenges?
I would say I'll give a surprise from a personal level. When I started at Turner Sports, I was cautiously optimistic that they would treat it like any other sport, but they have huge stick and ball or sport ball sports that they focus on, like the NBA and NCAA and PGA, and they've had all of these amazing productions. And I was a little bit worried that potentially esports would kind of be treated as like a fun side project for them to be working on. And I was really happily surprised that all the promises that I was made before I started were coming true. So we had Emmy Award-winning producers and directors working on the show. We built a studio. The same people that built the E-League Arena are the same people that who just won the Emmy for the Inside the NBA set last year. They were allocating all of these resources that they would to any other sport and treating it like any other vertical. From a level of E-League as a whole, one of the great surprises was actually that we were granted the major after only 1 season of anything related to esports under our belt. And for us, that was a huge nod to how we had done our first season, and we were really excited and really fortunate to doing it.
No, it's amazing. And if anyone, you haven't seen the E-League studio, it's phenomenal, and
yeah.
it's amazing. I mean, you put it in production to basically sports studios that you see across the world.
Yeah, and we had to definitely customize it so that it was applicable to esports. There's certain competitive integrity things that they don't have to think about when they're filming, Shaq and Charles and Kenny.
You're on a first-name basis, clearly.
Of course, I'm on a first-name basis. I see them all the time.
Michael, too. Talk about how Buffalo Wild Wings got involved with E-League from the beginning and what you looked at esports for your audience.
Yeah, I mean, it really all started in our stores. Long before E-League or before, any of this, our stores, both our company stores and our franchisees were embracing esports, whether it was, a local bar craft or any event where the community was looking for a destination to go and watch the sport they're passionate about. And, that kind of just rose up to us. And, when we had the opportunity to partner with Turner, we've got a lot of history with them. We're an NCAA sponsor as well. And, the fact the way that they were really approaching it, like Christina mentioned the professionalism that they've really put behind it. It was kind of, a no-brainer for a great spot for us to enter, as well as, it was logistically a little bit easier too, because, we can easily show TBS in our stores.
Sure. So sticking with that same question, something maybe, potentially, conflicting or controversial is, I even wrote about it. During your first, start with E-League, there was some, hesitation with the restaurants and kind of catering to the audience, and it didn't seem like actually the audience knew that even Buffalo Wild Wings was participating with E-League. Yet you made a big transformation once the audience sort of reacted. Can you talk about that? Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it came together really quickly, very, very soon to when E-League started. So I think, there was certainly some, with over 1,200 stores and a mix of company and franchisee, getting that communication out across stores, embracing something totally new for a lot of them. It was, probably a little bit of uncertainty on some fronts, but we had a lot of plans already in place once we signed the deal, and to get marketing materials and other things printed and out to stores takes a little bit of time. So I think a lot of that was already in the pipeline and arriving to stores, unfortunately, a little bit late based on when the season started. But once we saw the desire from the fans to just flock into B-Dubs and watch E-League, we embraced that, and we quickly kind of turned on that. Our leadership saw just we're getting lit up on social media. We were getting tons of emails and calls into our home office, and it was really an opportunity for everyone to really understand just the passion that is behind this. And we took that and we quickly made sure that, we went out and re-educated all of our stores, just after week 1, and made sure everyone understood what it was. Here's some speaking points, even if you don't know what it is, so that they could, make sure that they're talking, to the people and, helping them, really get at what they want. But it's an opportunity. I mean, we could have, totally just ignored it and done nothing with it. But we see a lot of potential in esports and any kind of competitive sport, just alongside all the traditional sports. And we really want to continue to grow with that.
No, kudos to you for coming back to the audience and community. I think that's amazing.
I will add, because the first week we saw the Reddit threads and stuff like that, and Buffalo Wild Wings were super responsive and super engaged and really wanted to improve the experience. So for us, that was really gratifying.
Yeah, absolutely. Christina, back to you. Turner has a long experience with traditional sports, storytelling, broadcasting. Mm-hmm. How are you kind of combining traditional sports with your esports broadcasting, whether it be streaming, new technology, AR, VR? Talk about what you're looking into that.
Well, like I said earlier, we don't treat it any differently than we do any of our stick and ball sports. And so that's one thing that's really important to us. And storytelling is something that is paramount to us. I use and kind of steal the example, because we're really led by Craig Berry, who's my boss and the head of production and content at Turner Sports. And he tells a story about, he was watching the Winter Olympics years ago, and there was this story about a curler, I think he was a one-arm curler or something, that was in the Olympics, and he found himself so sucked into that story about this curler, and he didn't know anything about curling, he didn't care about curling, but he got so sucked into this story about curling that he ended up watching every curling event for the rest of that Olympics. And that's something that has always stuck in the back of his head, is creating these compelling stories and really making the players and the teams, the stars, and the focus, and their kind of story arc as it relates to the entire season. And that's something that we try to carry throughout everything that we do. Even Overwatch was just a week-long tournament. We were working closely with Blizzard to find out who the different players and the different teams were and what stories to create around it. And even under a short kind of turnaround time, we were able to create some of the stories. We were able to watch some of the stories during the week. There's a thing with Seagull doing the handshake with Malik, and they messed up the handshake, and then Jimmy Fallon picked it up because he was doing something on awkward handshakes. And so for us, we picked up on that, and we found a clip of Jimmy Fallon doing an awkward handshake, and just trying to create that interest in the players. That's something that's just, you can see across the board. Also from a talent perspective, if you watch Inside the NBA, a lot of people who aren't really huge NBA fans sometimes tune into Inside the NBA because they love watching, Shaq and Kenny and Charles and EJ going at each other and whatever, because they know their shit, but they also, will also give each other shit at the same time. You said there'd be swear words. Yeah. But that's part of the allure. They can learn a lot about basketball, but they like the chemistry that's going on between. And so if you look at even our desk, right, we have some controversial figures sometimes sitting at our desk, but they know their stuff, but they also create entertainment because they're not afraid to share their opinion. They're not afraid to disagree with each other. And we don't want just a kind of desk that's just going to all agree with each other and tell you the stats. We want people to tune in because they like listening to them and listening to them even argue about things.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even the intro to the E-League Major Finals with the curtain was amazing. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely look it up online. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Michael, back to you.
Something big.
It was huge. Can you talk about some of you haven't released it publicly, so we're going to release it now. Can you talk about some of the metrics, engagement, just the value you've gotten from the partnership?
Yeah, I'll go into a spreadsheet now. I mean,
your PR person's going to jump across.
Luckily she's not here, so I'll get a phone call soon. I mean, it's interesting and it's a challenge at the same time, and it's not even just with esports; it's with sports in general. As we look at our restaurants, people come in and we've got 50 to 80 screens in each store. We can't track what they're watching on a screen, so we don't know if there's 80 people in there watching E-League or if they're all in there watching the NBA Finals or kind of a mix of all. But I think what really kind of came out of it for us was really looking at social and understanding where we're just one of my favorite things to do on Friday nights with E-League was just follow our social thread and watch people posting about how just beyond excited they are to watch E-League on a screen at B-Dubs. And it's just that validation for the sport that just kind of confirms everything around what we're doing in the space. Is that it's such a growing and such a passionate group of fans that it's getting to the point where a lot of the traditional sports are, and to kind of go along that journey with them, it's exciting.
Wait, I didn't hear any metrics.
That's true. You did not.
Wow,
Yeah.
his PR team has trained him well.
All right, I'll let you off on that one. Christina, let's talk about the brands, right? Obviously, you partner with B-Dubs, Sony Pictures, Credit Karma, Arby's, Dell, HyperX. It goes down the line. How's the conversations been with brands since you started over a year ago to where they are now that you brought non-endemics and endemics over?
I think there has been a lot of education in the space in the last year, which some is attributed to E-League, but some is just the growth of esports in general. So there's less of an education process going on when we talk to the brands, and it's more talking about how we can add value. And I think that Turner did a great job of working with brands like Buffalo Wild Wings to find clever ways to integrate, and a lot of it is social media too, the viewing parties, promoting the viewing parties, letting everybody know that they can go to Buffalo Wild Wings and they can watch. And now it's, again, not educating people about esports, but educating about how to reach out to the partners and get them get the audience engaged with those partners. Because if you're a brand and you're looking to get into esports and you just think, okay, I'm just going to slap my label on, run a few commercials during the breaks and whatever, the esports community is not really going to embrace that. They'll see it as, almost like a sellout kind of situation. But if you as a brand show, and I've said this before, if you embrace the community that you're trying to reach, they will embrace you right back. So Buffalo Wild Wings is a really great example. Buffalo Wild Wings opened its doors. They're like, you know what? Friday nights, you guys all now have a place to go. You can go to Buffalo Wild Wings and you can watch esports, right? We're not just showing football. We're not just showing basketball. We're actually showing esports. And even week one, the frustration that happened in week one stemmed from this passionate fan base that were like, sweet, we get to go to Buffalo Wild Wings, we get to have parties with our friends, and we get to watch it. And so they completely embraced going to Buffalo Wild Wings and watching esports in a Buffalo Wild Wings. They were tweeting like crazy pictures. There were viewing parties that were going on. And Arby's, another example, right? We have people in our audience chanting Arby's. At how many sports events do people actually chant the names of sponsors during sporting events, right? So we had people chanting the name of Arby's, and they whoa, hey.
Just cut you off.
That was the Arby's chant. We had people, they created commercials that was it's the same voice. Buffalo Wild Wings as well, in their same kind of theme of commercials. They had NBA and other sports commercials. Their commercial for esports was the same exact model. The Arby's ones, they have the Ving Rhames voice going on. They did that for commercials for esports, and people loved it.
Yeah, authenticity is such a bullshit word, but it's actually like meaningful in this case. And you nailed it.
When we kicked off because a lot of people thought we were going to TVify esports, we were going to put all these breaks in, and we were going to just sell out esports essentially. And I remember watching the Twitch stream during our first broadcast, and the first thing we had was, I think it was an Arby's takeover. And the minute that started, the whole Twitch chat was like sell out, sell out, sell out, TBS or sell out, sell out, sell out, sell out, sell out, sell out. And then the commercial aired for Arby's, and we saw tweets like, what an amazing commercial, this is the best. And we very rarely see the word sellout with our sponsors, because we work really closely with our sponsors to make sure that they integrate in such an effective way.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out the Arby's commercial if you guys haven't, it's on YouTube. Michael, back to you. I recently wrote about how females were the hidden audience inside esports. My calculations will say that approximately by the end of 2017, about a third of the esports viewing audience will be female/women. I don't know about B-Dub's demographic comes to stores, but what do you think about this as a new opportunity for you?
Yeah, I think it kind of just goes along with the opportunity of esports. It's the same with any sport. We don't really, I'd say maybe we're 55-45 men to women.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but beyond just going there as a sports destination, where it's a family restaurant. People will go there with their family, whether it's to watch sports or just to have dinner or lunch, and we've got that solid mix of everyone, from a variety of age ranges, and when you look at it, just putting esports on, we're not targeting messaging just at, millennial males or anything like that. It's really, we just want to, embrace the sport, put it on our screens, and, work with great partners to get people in there to watch it.
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. I think we're kind of close to time, so I'll round it out with the last two questions for you both. Christina, obviously, eLeague's broadcast on TBS and Twitch. You recently had an announcement with actually eLeague content going into movie theaters. I'm fascinated by Super League gaming. They're doing a lot of things with Minecraft and League of Legends. And I just look at the physical retail space being obviously open, is why not use unused physical space? What can you talk about of potential content in movie theaters for eLeague going forward?
We're trying to expand viewership as much as we possibly can, and we understand that people are going to consume esports in their own time, in their own way. So we want to provide a myriad of ways for people to actually be able to consume, and movie theaters are one of them. If they want to consume it in movie theaters, that's great. It's, it is the second closest thing you can come to actually being at a live event itself and experiencing it on the big screen. So that experience really immerses people into the actual event. But not only that, but we have Game Command, which is our kind of mosaic player. You can watch basically any point of view of any player. You can watch the actual observer feed. We are trying to find new and innovative different ways for people to consume, because we want to be able to reach them across all platforms.
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing. And Michael, last question for you. I just happened to notice your recent promotion with Madden and NFL.
Yeah.
Just because I look at this shit 25 hours a day. Can you talk about further that sponsorship and what you look at potentially sports and esports games coming together?
Yeah, I mean, when we're looking at esports, I mean, I think, eLeague and Turner was a great entry into it. But what we really want to do is, embrace and show esports, which is, any game that people have a passion around. And, I look at the sports titles as, when you look at our traditional guest, a little bit easier to kind of latch onto and consume, where there's not a little bit of that learning curve with something like Counter-Strike or League of Legends, where it's just, chaos going on the screen if you don't know what's happening. So, being able to partner with Madden and with the NFL teams, I mean, specifically we're partnering with the Minnesota Vikings, which is, our home base, as well as with the New England Patriots. And, they're coming in with a club series where the teams are running it. And, it's like a lot of things, it's, this is a very new space. Everyone's trying new things and learning new things. And for us to kind of get in there and try and learn with them, it's a unique opportunity. So, and we've got a great partnership, with the teams and with the NFL, and it's kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, for sure. Actually, one more question for you guys before turning over to the audience. And when you have Jesus' son play as your quarterback for the Patriots, you're going to win, right? So I think that's a no-brainer. What do you guys see as, where do you see esports is going to go in 2017?
Why did you have to ask that question? I think we're going to see a lot more experimentation with different ways to distribute and deliver content for esports, and we're going to see more growth. So, you have these games and you have these leagues that are firmly established, so now it's time to innovate and now it's time to experiment. So I think in 2017 you're going to see a lot of experimentation.
Cool. Michael? Yeah,
I mean, I think, content is a big piece. I think you'll see more of it going to linear TV, probably as a complement. Esports is digitally native, and I think it always will be. And kind of that's the kind of the inverse of traditional sports, where they're each trying to go opposite directions as far as how they get at different customers. And then I know like with the announcement with Overwatch League and kind of the regional play, I think that's going to be very interesting to kind of see how that comes to fruition and potentially brings in that localized fan base that you see with a lot of traditional sports.
Yeah, I think even between Overwatch and NBA's eLeague, I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of that geographical location-based content. I'll turn it over to the audience for any questions for our panelists.
Yeah, we have time for one question. Thanks. You want to bring the mic up? I can grab it if you want. I'm going to keep this thing rolling right on time. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Hey.
Yeah, great panel. Question is related to community. So both with Buffalo Wild Wings and Turner, you have the opportunity to create a community by among your people who are viewing, either through online simultaneous chat within the restaurants, or people who watch esports are used to chatting with other people. Can they also chat, talking to the announcers about the show? How do you create community amongst your fans who you're gathering?
For us, it's all about engagement. So constantly being a part of the conversation, constantly engaging people not taking ourselves too seriously, like we only talk about just E-League and just whatever. We want to be a part of the whole entire esports community. So for us, a lot of it is reliant on social media and being available and doing active listening and making sure that our fans are being heard and, you know, addressed when given feedback.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's inherent. I think a good example of kind of how it's worked well with Turner and E-League is, I mean, through everything on the social side and all these viewing parties that are going on, and then Turner through the live broadcast kind of highlighting and kind of giving a hero aspect to a lot of those things and really highlighting the community and the different ways that they're engaging.